Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vritya Lakshana Gigyasur. Vritya Lakshana Gigyasur. Vritya Lakshana Gigyasur. Bhaktam Kameshu Chodayat. Bhaktam Kamesh Chodayat. Bhaktam Kamesh Chodayat. Vritya Lakshana Gigyasur. Bhaktam Kamesh Chodayat. Bhavan Sangsara Bijeshu. Bhavan Sangsara Bijeshu. Bhavam Samsara Bijeshu. Hridaya Grantishu. Prabhu. Hridaya Grantishu. Hridaya Grantishu Prabhu. Hridaya Grantishu Prabhu. Bhavam Sangsara Bijeshu. Hridaya Grantishu Prabhu. Vritya Lakshana Gigyasur. Bhaktam Kamesh Pachodayat. Bhavan Sangsara Bijeshu. Hridaya Grantishu Prabhu. Vritya Lakshana Gigyasur. Bhaktam Kamesh Pachodayat. Bhavan Sangsara Bijeshu. Hridaya Grantishu Prabhu. Vritya Lakshana Gigyasur. Desiring to exhibit the symptoms of a pure devotee. Bhaktam, the devotee. Kameshu, in the material world, where lusty desires predominate. Chodayat has sent. Bhavan, your lordship. Sangsara Bijeshu, the root cause of being present in this material world. Hridaya Grantishu, which desire for material enjoyment is in the core of the hearts of all conditioned souls. Prabhu, O my worshipful Lord. Translation. O my worshipful Lord, because of the seed of lusty desires, which is the root cause of material existence, is within the core, in the core of everyone's heart. You have sent me to this material world to exhibit the symptoms of a pure devotee. Responsively, please. O my worshipful Lord, because the seed of lusty desires, which is the root cause of material existence, is in the core of everyone's heart. You have sent me to this material world to exhibit the symptoms of your devotee. So Prahlad Maharaj, after the previous verse where he's saying, please don't tempt me with these material illusions, I might become affected, etc. Now he's actually explaining his position. He's saying actually he's a Nityasiddha devotee. He's being sent here by the Supreme Personality of Godhead for a particular task. And we see this is often the case with greatly advanced devotees. Like, of course we can think of Srila Prabhupada as a very good example of someone who's been sent here with a particular purpose or a particular task to achieve. So Prahlad Maharaj is now spelling that out. This Nitya Lakshana Jigyasu. So Lakshana means like the symptoms. So he's manifesting the symptoms of a pure, unalloyed devotee, a Nityasiddha devotee. He's come here to display that. And the Nityasiddha devotees, they come here with a purpose to attract the Nitya Bhadas. There's so many conditioned living entities in this material world. And without the mercy of a greatly advanced devotee, then these persons will continue to rot here in this material world, life after life. So Krishna he comes himself, and he also sends his pure unalloyed devotees to this material world to attract these conditioned living entities. And this is considered great mercy, both from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but also from his pure devotee. Prabhupada's protocol. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu has given considerable discussion about Nityasiddha and Sadhana Siddha devotees. Nityasiddha devotees come from Vaikuntha to this material world to teach, by their personal example, how to become a devotee. The living entities in this material world can take lessons from such Nityasiddha devotees and thus become inclined to return home, back to Godhead. A Nityasiddha devotee comes from Vaikuntha upon the order of the Personality of Godhead and shows by his example how to become a pure devotee. Anya Abhilasha Shunyam. In spite of coming to this material world, the Nityasiddha devotee is never attracted by the allurements of material enjoyment. And we see, if you look in the scriptures and also, in the example of someone like Srila Prabhupada and the previous acharyas, obviously very, very great advanced devotees. And Prabhupada at various times has told, given little snippets of his actual nature. And at one point he mentioned how Krishna had spoken to him, said, you go down to the material world, you write these books, and I'll take care of everything for you. And we see that's what Prabhupada did. He came down here, he wrote the books, and then so many people were attracted to Srila Prabhupada by his preaching, by his books. And we see as a result of Prabhupada's endeavor to serve Krishna, how this international society of Krishna consciousness has sprung up. And if you look at it in terms of the timeline and how long it took, it's literally an overnight phenomenon. It's like in 11 years, Prabhupada started with nothing. 2 trunks, some books, a little bit of money, a couple of bags of oats, and some clothes. That's all he had. And yet he had such sincere desire to spread Krishna consciousness. He was given the instruction of his Guru. The Guru said, if you get money, print books in the English language. So he took that foundational instruction to heart. And then he, as soon as he got himself in a position, he started to translate books. Because obviously, to print books means you have to translate them because there's no English translation. So Prabhupada took the instruction and was able to unpack the instruction, indicating Prabhupada's degree of intelligence. Just like you look at, for instance, someone like Lord Brahma. There's when Brahma appeared on the lotus flower coming from the navel lake of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, the only thing he heard was the Gayatri Mantra. So the only instruction he received was the Gayatri Mantra. The Gayatri Mantra was the seed for Brahma creating the universe. He said, Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha Tat Savitur. So I mean, it talks about the three planets. It's just the Bhur Bhuva Swaha. The different levels of the planets. Tat Savitur, the sun. Talks about the sun. So he got the understanding from that. Okay, this is the structure of the universe that I have to create. And then he understood that you have to populate it with different living entities. From this, this hearing this verse, because he's intelligent, he can understand what he had to do. So in the same way, we see with Srila Prabhupada, because he has this spiritual intelligence, that he received a simple instruction, or what to us seems like a simple instruction from his spiritual master, and he established this whole society for Krishna consciousness. And that includes translating, printing, distributing books, establishing temples, traveling around the world, meeting people, meeting famous people, preaching Krishna consciousness, giving classes almost every day. Prabhupada, showing them showing us the whole system of Krishna consciousness. Sometimes Prabhupada would say to his disciples, I have given you the framework, now fill it in. So Prabhupada, he generally didn't get involved in every single detail of management. Sometimes he did, like in Los Angeles, but generally he would just give devotees guidelines on how to do things, and he would expect that by applying their intelligence, that they would understand, how to spread Krishna consciousness in the best way possible. And we see this is the same here. Prahlad Maharaj, he's been sent down here to the material world by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to show us how to live our lives as a pure devotee, how to become purified, how to go back to Godhead. Because this is the ultimate goal. It's not to, and as Prabhupada's pointing out here, is when the Nityasiddha devotee comes here to the material world, he's not attracted by their movements here in this material world. They're inconsequential. They're of no value to him whatsoever. His sole purpose, his focus, is to give people Krishna consciousness, to try to inspire them in the process of Krishna consciousness, so that they'll realize that this is actually not our place. This material world is not the place for us. Our place, our home, is the spiritual world. And by their behavior, by their instructions, they help us to understand the difference between the two. Between the two realms, between this material realm and between the spiritual realm, and not just by their instruction, but also by their example. Because as I was saying yesterday, we see with someone like Prahlad, even though he was put into so much difficulty by his father, he still maintained steady consciousness. His kutashna, his consciousness was steady, it was fixed. Fixed on what? Fixed on Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is the example given by the pure devotees. This is the instruction given in the Bhagavad Gita. This is also the example set by saintly persons. Just like we, here in this story, we understand how Prahlad was instructed by Narad Muni. So we have Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. So Narad Muni is the Guru. Prahlad, he's living an example of a Sadhu. And then we have the scriptures, the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, etc., showing us, explaining to us how to live. What are the symptoms of someone who's a greatly advanced devotee? And here we're seeing one of these symptoms is they have no attraction to material nature. Their only attraction is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Prahlad Maharaj is demonstrating this very wonderfully. And I'll read a bit more of the purport. This is an interesting point I want to discuss. A Maha Bhagavat devotee, a perfectly, so Prabhupada's talking here. In spite of coming to the material world, the Nityasiddha devotee is never attracted by the allurements of the material world. And it's interesting he uses this phrase, allurements, because it's just like the whole material world is like dangling a carrot in front of the donkey. And we're the donkeys, and the carrot's being dangled in front of us. We keep trying to get it. But the interesting thing is, like, because the example of when a farmer or something has a donkey, donkeys aren't very smart, and so what they do is they get a stick, a long stick, and they hang a carrot on a rope in front of the donkey. And the donkey's thinking, oh, there's a carrot there. If I just go a little bit faster, I'll get the carrot. And he keeps trying. Oh, but if I just go a little bit faster, I'll reach it. And what does that sound like? That sounds like us here in this material world. There's all these allurements being dangled right in front of our nose. And we think, if I just try a little bit harder, I'll get this allurement. But what happens is we just get tangled up more and more in this material nature. Just like the donkey, the farmer is dangling the carrot in front of his nose. He never reaches a carrot. Although at the end of the day, if the farmer's kind, he'll give the donkey the carrot. Sometimes they don't. But what's happening is the farmer, he's getting his work done. The donkey doesn't realize it. He's just trying to catch a carrot. And so the same for us. We don't realize what's happening here. We're getting more and more entangled in the material world by our endeavor to try to capture these allurements in the material world. And we never do. It's always just dangling just in front of us. We never do. And this is what, like the advertising industry, this is what's going on there, is they advertise all these things just to try to allure the foolish living entity. To follow the system, to plug themselves into the system of the material governments and industries and things like that, and just work hard, give your whole life to this job, and you'll get some little gratification. And people are so bewildered by this. They think this is the goal of life, is to, yes, I have to get my job, I have to make sure I get a better job. They're always aspiring to get a better job where they get more money. But as they get this better job with more money, more bills come. Because they're aspiring for, in order to have this job and to have this facility, I have to have faster internet, I have to have a bigger house, I have to have, all these modern appliances in the house, electricity, this thing, that thing. So they've got, and like you look at like all these companies, like for instance, software companies. It used to be with software, many of these softwares are free to start with, but then they came out, they sold you the software. Okay, you just pay a one-time fee and that's it, you got the software, and they gave you updates for free. Now what they do is they have an annual subscription. So in order to use this software, you have to every year pay, or every month pay a fee. And if you stop paying the fee, the software stops working. So they've got you, and then you become so dependent on this piece of software. Every time they change their kind of arrangement, or they want to charge you more, they get greedier. Then you've got to contemplate, well, I've been using this software for however many years, and to change is going to be very difficult because I'm so accustomed to using it. And I had the experience recently with one bit of software I was using. It used to be quite cheap and affordable, and they recently the company sold out to another company, and it went from being like $20 a year to $170 a year. And so then you've got to spend all this time transferring all your data from one software to another software, which essentially is a waste of time, just so you can have this facility. And this is what the material world is like. You just get sucked in by all these different things, and the advertising, the government, all the whole system is convincing you that you need these things in order to be happy. If you don't have these things, you won't be happy. I remember years ago there was an ad in Queensland. Queensland's like the northern part of Australia, so it's temperate to tropical. It goes temperate, subtropical, tropical. It's quite a warm part of Australia. And for many it's a desirable place to live. And so they had this advertisement. I think they were selling beer. And the whole portrayal in this advertisement was like, there was down by the bank of the Brisbane River, the sun was setting, the city lights were in the background, it was all very attractive looking, and young people, young beautiful people gathered around the fire, drinking alcohol. And the message they're sending, is they're talking about, I can't remember the exact phrasing they were using, but essentially the message was saying is, you can't be happy, you can't have friends, you can't be a Queenslander unless you drink this beer. So it's just the conditioning, it's just they program us into thinking that this is what life's about. And the foolish living entity, the donkeys, as I was demonstrating or portraying in the previous example, the donkeys, these carrots dangled in front of them. They think, yes, I want to have beautiful friends. I want to be happy. I want to live in Queensland. Therefore, I'll drink this beer. That's what happens. Their advertising is so successful. And a lot of it's very, very subliminal. They don't even make such gross statements. But people are sucked in by it because they're just caught up in the network of material nature. But someone who's actually an advanced devotee, like we see here, Prahlad Maharaj, a pure devotee, he's not caught up with this. He just sees it for what it is. He just sees that this is the allurement of material nature. And it will not benefit me in any way. It cannot benefit you in any way. It's just there to absorb you. And that's the function of material nature, as I mentioned in a second. It has two types of energies, potencies. One is called Avaraka Shakti, which pushes us down. The other is called the Prakaka Shakti, which covers our intelligence. So we cannot actually understand what's going on. A perfect example is Prahlad Maharaj, who was a Nitya Siddha, a Mahabharata devotee. Although Prahlad was born in the family of Hiranyakashipu, atheist, he was never attached to any kind of materialistic enjoyment. And we see that Hiranyakashipu was constantly trying to allure Prahlad. He even sent him to the so-called best school in Sundaranamaka to learn how to be a good demon. And it's kind of interesting because they were teaching him that devotees of Vishnu, they're the demons. They're the ones you have to be careful of because they will contaminate you, they will pollute your consciousness. You should be focused on developing your material facilities in this world. You should be focused on trying to enjoy because this is what life is for. And so they're presenting the exact opposite of the Krishna conscious perspective. And this is like you'll see, in this material world, there's, I think I've mentioned this somebody the other day, there's Janma Shai Shutashi, the Edamada Vedanta, Navahati Kunti. Kunti's praying how Krishna, she's saying to Krishna, my dear Lord, you're easily approached, but only by those who are maturely exhausted. One who's interested in trying to improve themselves in terms of birth, Janma, Aishvarya, opulence, Shruta, knowledge, and Shriya, beauty, they can never approach you with feeling. And we see that people, they want their children to get good educations, so they send them to the best schools, spend huge amounts of money. And what do these schools do? They just convince them that they're the body. They convince them that the goal of life is to have so much material facility. Just have ever increasing material facility, and this way you enjoy. There's a phrase the materialists have. Or saying that whoever has the most toys when they die, they win. And they actually believe that. They believe that the goal of life is to accumulate more and more material facility. And you'll see that some people, they have I'm not sure of the numbers, but sometimes 50, 100, 150 cars. How many cars can you drive at one time? You drive one. So what's the point? It's just about, this is my possession. I want more and more and more and more. I just want more and more and more. Or like they have houses. The kings in France, back in the 16th, 17th century, they used to, like if you go down the Loire Valley, it's called the Valley of Kings, and they all used to build these beautiful chateaux, all these different types of places. This is beautiful, quite striking. And what they would do is they would one of the kings, I can't remember his name, but he was always building these chateaux, just one after the other. And he'd go and he'd live in. When they moved to the chateau, he'd take the whole court with him, all his courtesans, all the servants, the whole thing. Hundreds, sometimes thousands of people would move from one chateau. And when the next one was built, they'd leave this one and they'd move to that one. And then they'd stay there for a few years. And then when the next one was built, they'd leave that one and they'd move to the next one. They're just constantly trying to expand their enjoyment. And the thing is like, as Krishna says in the Gita, this desire to enjoy, it's never satisfied. It burns like fire. So it doesn't matter how much facility you get, it'll never be satisfied. It's just like if you have a fire and you put fuel on the fire, the more fuel you put on the fire, the bigger the fire gets. And you never become satisfied. Your desires for material enjoyment, just like you have a simple life and you get some facility. Just like there's a funny story Prabhupada tells. There's this man, he's a potter. He's very simple, very poor potter. And one day he's just lying down there, he's daydreaming. He's made a pot. And he's daydreaming about selling this pot. And then he's thinking in his dream, he's thinking, I'll sell this pot and I'll go out and buy some more clay and then I'll make 2 pots. And then, in his dream, he's just expanding his wealth and getting bigger and bigger and bigger, more and more pots. And then I'll get married and I'll get myself a very, very beautiful wife. And if she doesn't do what I tell her, then I'll kick her. And in his dream, he kicks his leg out and he breaks the pot. And this is what it's like in the material world. It's like we're daydreaming, thinking that we're going to have this, we're going to have that, and in the end, we just wind up, destroying all our whatever facility we have. So the material world is like that. People are just dreaming of having so much facility. You'll see, like, on the television when they're advertising or with the movies, they always portray these guys, living in some like far out place, and like having so much facility and wearing the fancy clothes and this thing and that thing, trying to allure you into thinking, yeah, I could have that. If you had a few $1 million, you might be able to, and so the whole idea is this keeps us plugged into the machine, because we're aspiring for this. They're presented all in such a wonderful way. The lighting is just perfect. The situation is just perfect. The interactions with the beautiful girl or the handsome man is just perfect. They go to the casino and they play whatever it is they play, and they win huge piles of money. That's illusion. There's only one person who wins at the casino. That's the casino. No one else wins. So yeah, it's just the whole thing is portrayed as being a way to enjoy yourself in this material world. And this is what Hiranyakashipu, this is what he's trying to teach Prahlad. And this is why he becomes so frustrated, because Prahlad doesn't accept. What you're presenting is of no value to me at all. I'll never be, you'll never be happy by that. And Hiranyakashipu wasn't happy. His son wouldn't follow him. He was so upset. And this is what the atheists, the demons, they try to convince you, is by having material facility you can become happy. But how many of them are happy? They're happy, and even if they have some happiness, how long does it last? It's very, very temporary. It's finished with the body. And so this is the example that Prahlad was given us. He was never attracted to anything in this material world because he understood it's useless. It's a waste of time. There's nothing here for us. And it's good we read about these things repeatedly, and we discuss this repeatedly, and it helps us to understand more and more deeply that there's nothing for us here in this material world. There is nothing for us of any value. And this is why great devotees like Prahlad, like Uddhava, like Prabhupada, this is why they come to this material world, is to give us this example, to show us that actually there's nothing for us here in this material world. You will not be happy with anything this material world has to offer. So better to finish up our business and go back home, back to Godhead as quick as we can. I'll finish the purport. Desiring to exhibit the symptoms of a pure devotee, the Lord tried to induce Prahlad Maharaj to take material benedictions, but Prahlad Maharaj did not accept them. See, he's trying to show the symptoms of a great soul. He's dangling all these carrots in front of Prahlad, and Prahlad's saying, I'm not interested. And you'll see in the next verse, is the next one, is the one after? Oh, that next, this Nasa Britya Savai Vanik. Vanik means merchant. Like people who want some exchange, who want some material exchange for serving you. That's just like business. Well, I'm not serving you for any exchange. I'm serving you because I love you, because you're my Lord, and it's my duty to serve you. And this is the consciousness we need to take. On the contrary, by his personal example, he showed the symptoms of a pure devotee. In other words, The Lord himself has no desire to send his pure devotee to the material world, nor does the devotee have any material purpose in coming. When the Lord himself appears as an incarnation with this material world, he is not allured by the material atmosphere, and he has nothing to do with material activity. Yet, by his example, he teaches the common man how to become a devotee. You just look at Lord Chaitanya. What was he doing? He was teaching us how to practice devotional service. Similarly, a devotee who comes here in accordance with the order of the Supreme Lord shows by his personal behavior how to become a pure devotee. A pure devotee, therefore, is a practical example for all living entities, including Lord Brahma. It's kind of interesting how Prabhupada tags this on the end. He says, including